What's going on YouTube? Your boy Juan Valdez here, and today we're going to be going over a topic that a lot of us don't really get to learn too much about, and it's a topic that it is pretty important for anyone just getting started in business, or even overall anyone gets value, will get value from learning more about this topic. And what it's going to be is we're actually going to be going over credit. I've honestly, with my credit nowadays, I personally have over like a $50,000 credit line available. I've leased a BMW, and I've actually used credit with my business partner Samir to build our e-commerce business, and we've done over $500,000 in sales, taking advantage of credit, not having to use our own money. Actually, if we had to depend on our own money, we probably would have never had any success in e-commerce. So I thought I'd make this video, take a minute to make it for you guys, and really share some things with you guys of how to get started, how I got started with credit, and some of the things you guys can do to also get started with credit. So I got some notes here that I have, and what I'll do is I'll go over some of the things that helped me along the way while building credit. So to get started, the way I personally got started is I went ahead and with the bank account that I actually had when I had back when I had my job, I actually started learning about credit in high school. When I was about a sophomore or so, and that's actually when I still had my regular, I had a lifeguarding job at the time actually. But I had a bank account made, and with that same bank account, what I did is I went ahead and I actually applied for my first credit card. And this is something you guys can do if you already have a bank account. You can try to apply with them. If you have no history with the bank, like if they haven't even, maybe you don't have a checkings and a savings account, it may be a little bit tougher to get approved. But what you can do is set up a secured credit card, and the way that works is you put down a deposit on it, and the way usually that they do it is they give you a credit limit of whatever the deposit is you put down, and that will help you start to work on your credit. And the way that works is that deposit, basically they keep it there for safety in case you never make a payment or you miss a payment or something like that. They have that there available because obviously you have no history, so they have to have some kind of common ground. So you can get started with that. That's the first way you can get started with. Usually, I got a regular credit card that I applied for. It wasn't anything crazy, but student credit cards, you actually have a very high chance of getting approved for one of those, just because those people that have these student credit cards are already used to having people apply that have no credit usually, because obviously students, when we're first coming in, like we haven't learned anything about credit, and we're coming in there applying for a credit card with no type of like history or usually bank accounts or anything like that. So you can either try a regular credit card from your bank, a secured credit card, or a student credit card, and usually one of those you can get approved for. After getting approved for it, the best thing you want to do is, the way you want to get started with that first credit card is you want to start by making small purchases with it. Obviously, if you get with my credit card, I got a $500 limit. What I used to do is I would use that credit card to pay for groceries, and after I would pay for groceries, I would pay off the card right away, and I would actually put it away, and I wouldn't even use it again until the next month. So that's something you guys can try out, see how it works for you. It's something that I did that helped me, that I did consecutively for a few months, and really helped me jumpstart my credit and build it up pretty quickly. So that's for sure something you guys can do. You want to make sure also, when you apply for that first credit card, you're not also applying for 3 of the cards or 3 different banks, because what that does is that it affects your credit. It dings your credit multiple times, and then what it does is that makes it less likely you can get approved for another card, and you end up keeping that same inquiry on your credit, which keeps your credit score really low. So you want to make sure if you're going to apply for a credit card, do it. Wait some time, build credit with that credit card, and then go ahead and apply for another one. You want to make sure also you're doing you're doing some research on these credit cards, seeing like if they have different things like annual fees, what's the advantage of having the credit card, what kind of interest rates they have, all that great stuff. You want to make sure that you're comparing them, and there's great websites for them. You guys can check it out. Like one of the websites I use that you guys can also use is Credit Karma. On Credit Karma, you can actually not only monitor your credit, but you can see what kind of credit cards you have a very high chance of getting approved for, based on your credit score. So that's something you guys can try out. You want to make sure one of the things that you're doing is when you're also, if you're going to school and you're getting any student loans, you want to make sure one of the things you're doing is obviously paying them off on time. What I'll do is what I wanted to also cover with you guys is some of the things that help you build your credit. And for sure, one of the main things is obviously paying your card off on time. If they give you a credit card, if you get approved for one, and then your bank sees that you're not making these payments on time, obviously that's going to affect your score, and it's also going to affect the probability that you'll get accepted for another card. So you want to make sure you're making your payments on time. That's obviously huge. The next one you want to focus on is your credit utilization. There's a few different factors when it comes to credit, but one of the main ones for sure that has like one of the highest impacts on your credit is the utilization. So what you want to make sure is that whatever credit card you get, you're keeping, if your balance is 500, or if you get a credit line of 100,000, you're always keeping it under 30%, because doing so looks good to the banks and is what actually increases your credit. So you want to make sure, you obviously want to use your credit cards every single month, but you want to make sure after you use them that you pay off a certain amount that's going to keep it always under that 30% mark, because that's huge when it comes to credit. You want to make sure it's always, month after month, you're always doing the same thing. Let's see what I have here. That's what I personally always try to do. I always make sure I do the math and I find out, I personally set a reminder on a certain day, the due date, whatever the due date of the card is, I set a reminder on that specific date to make the payment, and I always make sure that I'm paying off under 30%. So the next part you guys want to do is you want to make sure, again, you're not trying to open up all these different cards at the same time, because that can affect your credit. If you're applying for 4 different credit cards and you're also trying to get maybe like a car loan or something, doing those all at the same time can definitely affect your credit, and it also will affect the chances that you actually get approved for other credit when you apply for it. So you want to make sure you're taking some time in between to build the credit that you already got. You're showing the banks that you're trustworthy, you can pay off your cards on time, and then after that then going and taking some time to apply for the next credit card or car loan or whatever the case may be. You want to make sure you're always also keeping an eye on your credit report. Sometimes you get like these weird inquiries without even knowing, just because you gave them your information. You want to make sure you're checking your credit score every few months or so. There's a great app, it's called Credit Karma. You guys can actually try it out. It makes it really easy for you to monitor your credit, really easy for you to browse and see different things that affect your credit history, the things you can actually do to increase your credit and boost your credit score. So Credit Karma is a great app. I'm not like an affiliate for them. I don't make any money, recommending Credit Karma. I just use them personally, and I know that it helps me monitor my credit. So I figured I'd take some time just to record this video, because obviously I know for a lot of people starting off, credit is important. And for us, it was very important. And when it comes to our e-commerce business, very important, right? So when we were first starting our e-commerce business, obviously we didn't have much liquid capital that we can get started to invest. The most we had was, I think when we first got started, we had like $2,000 or $3,000 that we had available that we can actually use for the business. Our first week in the business, we were already losing a couple $100 a day. So if we would have kept up at that rate and had no credit available, we wouldn't have been able to scale up. Because a lot of you guys know, when it comes to e-commerce and drop shipping, the way that it works is obviously you're running your ads, you're paying to run your ads, right? And once you start paying to run your ads, you have your customers that are buying from your store, so you're collecting the payment. And while you're collecting those payments, you're still running your ads, of course, right? And after you collect the payment, you then have to go and take a part of the payment, order the products from a supplier. Now, what happens is, obviously that's all happening within a few days. Let's say day 1, you start running your ad, maybe the same day, but the next day you make some sales. Then from there, the day after that, you fulfill the order, right? So what happens is, if you don't have enough money, usually it takes, after you get the payment, it takes a few days to actually, have the payment into your bank account. So what you have to do is, after you collect the payment, to fulfill the order, you actually have to use your own money to go out there and fulfill the orders. So now, if you have to depend on your own capital, you now have to use your own money to run the ads, then pay for the orders. And obviously since it takes a few days to receive the payment that was captured, by the 3rd or 4th day, you're probably gonna have to stop running your ads, because you can't really afford to keep your ads running, because you just finished fulfilling all the orders. And obviously the way that everybody's payment system is different with any advertising platform, but usually depending on how much you're advertising, every few days you have to pay off the balance of your ads. So obviously, if you have to depend on your own, your own capital, it can make things a little bit tricky to scale up. But obviously, if you have credit now, whatever credit may be, maybe even 500 bucks, let's say, if you can use that credit to pay for the ads on the first day, that's already weight off your shoulders, because you're probably going to make the money back with the ads. I mean, obviously, you won't keep the ads running if you're not making the money back. So you're going to make the money back. You can use your credit to pay for fulfill the orders, and you can use that your credit. So by the time that you get the actual payment, actually when it's deposited into your account, in a few days after that, you don't have to worry. You can just pay off the card and repeat that cycle and keep doing it. But if you don't have credit and you have to depend on your own liquid capital, if God forbid something happens and let's say your first few products you don't get any winners and you lose out some money, if that's all the capital you have to invest and test out with, you're screwed. You won't have any possibilities of really reaching the true potential of your business. So I thought I'd take a minute just to record this quick video for you guys, just letting you guys know a little bit about how we leverage credit to obviously scale our e-commerce business to what it is today. But also a fun fact, and this is something that I don't have too much time to explain now, but I'll be able to explain in another video. But after while we were making those same payments to advertise, right? Obviously, again, if you're advertising and you're spending more money on advertising, you're obviously making a return, because nobody's going to advertise and keep advertising and not make any returns. So with those same payments that we were making, if we would have been making those payments on our regular debit card, or let's say cash, actually nobody uses cash, but on a regular debit card, we would have just been obviously spending that money, and obviously it would have just been going away, and we get obviously no benefit besides obviously the ad spend and whatever sales we make from the ads that we're running, right? But now if you have a credit card that has some type of rewards, we look for, we have all kinds of credit cards now. We have over $50,000 worth of credit available. I'm actually getting ready to apply to get a lot more so we can scale up even more. But with the cards that we go after credit cards that have cashback rewards and travel points. And the way that those work is, for a certain amount that you spend, or almost everything that you spend on those specific cards, you get either points if it's a travel card, or cashback if it's a cash rewards card. And through the whole process of scaling our whole business, obviously we were making these, we had a lot of ad spend that we were spending money on. But since we use our travel card, we were actually get tons of travel points, and we've been traveling for free ever since we started our e-commerce business. So that's obviously it takes the right amount of spending on the card and the right card and things like that to be able to do things like travel for free. But that's a perk of having credit and taking advantage and leveraging it the right way. So I'll be teaching a lot more about it. Feel free to drop a comment, leave a like for the boy, and feel free to subscribe if you want to see more videos like these. Also, let me know what else you'd like to know about when it comes to credit, when it comes to credit hacks. I actually have a buddy, a good buddy of mine that that lets me in on like some top credit, different hacks that he does and things like that. And this dude's like a huge savage when it comes to credit. So I'll be sharing some of the things I learned from him. But leave me some feedback. Let me know what you guys think about this video, and let me know what else when it comes to credit you guys want to learn about, and also what other kind of videos you guys would like to see. Peace.